The governor of Yi province, Liu Zhang, was a cautious and somewhat indecisive ruler. He invited Liu Bei into his lands to counter external threats, but he betrayed Liu Zhang and seized the province, establishing the state of Shuhan. This what if explores a scenario where Liu Zhang, through strategic foresight and stronger alliances, repels Liu Bei, preventing his rise to power. Historically, Zhang Su discovered Zhang Song's secret communications of Liu Bei in early 213. In this scenario, he discovers and reports the secret before Liu Bei enters into Yi. Serving as a minor officer, Zhang Su's loyalty to Liu Zhang over his brother is evident by his historical reporting. In this timeline, it's heightened by raised suspicions of his brother's frequent meetings with Fa Zheng and Meng Da, which fuels their rivalry. He intercepts correspondence between Zhang Song and Fa Zheng, who were already conspiring with Liu Bei in 211, and presents his evidence to Liu Zhang, who immediately arrests the traitors. Forewarned, Liu Zhang executes Zhang Song, Fa Zheng and Meng Da before they can defect, then refuses to invite Liu Bei into Yi. This forces him to launch an external invasion from Jing with his full force, but without local support, eliminating the historical foothold at Jiameng Pass and his access to Liu Zhang's troops and supplies. He needs to rely on officers like Jianyong, Mi Zhu and Xu Jing, who operate from a temporary base in Jing to secure supply lines for a drawn-out fight. Historically, Fa Zheng was Liu Bei's mastermind during this campaign, orchestrating defections and advising key moves. Without him, Liu Bei loses as prime strategist, struggles to gain allies in Yi, and has to rely on Pang Tong and Zhuge Liang. Instead of a rapid strike towards Chengdu, feinting a retreat then attacking, or actually retreating to wait for a better opportunity, Pang Tong adjusts his three strategies to account for the exposed plot. The upper plan is to select the best soldiers to circle around Baidicheng altogether, while the bulk of the army keeps Zhang Ren isolated within, always looking for defections. Pang Tong favoured this plan, and volunteers to lead the troops himself alongside Huang Zhong, but it's the most risky however, as Zhang Ren's style favours defence and his armies have the geographical advantage. The middle plan is splitting the army into two after Baidicheng is captured, with Pang Tong, Huang Zhong and Liu Bei leading the assault at Yong'an, while at the same time, Zhuge Liang, Zhang Fei and Zhao Yun use the naval forces to attack Jiangzhou. The lower plan is capturing Baidi to use as a forward base, before laying siege to the cities and passes one by one. This slow approach stretches Liu Bei's resources thin however. Pang Tong considered this the worst plan. Aware of his exposed plot and unable to enter Yi peacefully, Liu Bei opts for plan B, double envelopment. He prepares for a combined assault with his main army by summoning his reinforcements from Jing province. By applying pressure on multiple fronts, Liu Bei seeks defections, complemented by Ma Liang's diplomatic skill in forming tribal alliances. Alerted by Zhang Su, Liu Zhang implements a loyalty campaign to redistribute resources from the wealthy aristocrats to his officers, strengthening his faction. Chengdu and Wang Li's historical protests towards Liu Bei prove far-sighted in this scenario. As such, they were appointed chief strategists for internal loyalty and oversee the loyalty campaign alongside Liu Bei. Liu Zhang is urged to address the vacant positions left open by Fa Zheng and Meng Da, prefect of Xindu and military consultant colonel, then looks to his advisors for advice on the best military formations for defense. The trusted vassal Wu Yi is given a higher military command, but kept under close watch in Chengdu, preventing his defection, while Li Yan and Fei Guan, who historically surrendered, are reassigned to administrative roles, reducing their opportunity for betrayal. Through many more reassignments, Liu Zhang purges potential defections early and strengthens his administration's loyalty through promotions and wealth. Overall, his officers now view him as a viable leader who rewards service, unlike the historical perception of him as weak. Zhang Ren is elevated to Supreme Military Commander in 211 and tasked with fortifying the key passes into Yi. His historical tenacity at Luo suggests he was capable of disciplined defense. Here, he uses Yi's resources to train a larger, better equipped force, dedicated mostly to archery and siege defense. He reinforces Chengdu, Jiangzhou, Yong'an and Baidicheng, providing these locations with better drilled armies while supervising them through a more structured hierarchy. Under Zhang Ren's leadership, Liu Zhang's forces are unified and strengthened by a capable commander, preventing the scattered defences that allowed Liu Bei to pick them off one by one. Zhang Ren fortifies Yong'an and Baidicheng even further, in the same way he historically did with Luo County, but in this case, he has more time and foreknowledge of a coming invasion. As such, he constructs a formidable stronghold, stockpiled for a years-long siege, and trains a formidable mobile force of 10,000 troops, skilled in archery and river warfare. He then stations them at the forward base Baidicheng, and looks to keep Liu Bei's armies held here, preventing them from ever setting foot in his homeland. Zhang Ren's strict discipline calls Liu Bei and Yang Hua out from their mountainous strongholds to relocate and reinforce Baidicheng. The local, narrow Shutang Gorge limits Liu Bei's ability to deploy large forces, making it ideal for ambushes, archers, and even naval blockades. At Bar Commandery, Zhao Zan receives commands from Zhang Ren, issuing orders to help fortify Yong'an's roads and rivers with archers and traps. Zhao Zan acts with his more famous subordinate Yan Yan in preparation for Yong'an's defense. They relocate and hide supplies within the hilly terrain, ready for a prolonged defense. Using the same strategy historically used at Luo County, Zhang Ren thwarts Pang Tong's assault. He dies during battle after being hit by a stray arrow, whereafter Liu Bei becomes deeply saddened by his death, weeping whenever he is mentioned, and lamenting to the heavens upon the cursed campaign. Liu Bei stalls, waiting on Zhuge Liang's much-needed military advice, but without Zhang Su's or Fa Zheng's local expertise, he struggles with coordinating the fragmented campaign. Despite the losses, Zhuge Liang agrees with the late Pang Tong's plan to split the army after they capture Baidicheng. Liu Bei sails the main naval force up the river, while Zhang Fei, Huang Zhong and Zhao Yun lead separate units through the mountains to eliminate traps and ambushes. Zhang Fei fights his way through many fortified defences, defeating Deng Xian as he makes his way towards a foothold atop a cliff, but he becomes ambushed by Liu Bei and Yang Huai. Once repelled, Zhang Fei regroups, and uses lightly armoured troops for hit-and-run tactics, but fails to make any significant gains. Zhang Yi is tasked with managing the naval blockade at Shutang Gorge, where he harasses Liu Bei's naval forces. Liu Bei's army is weakened by the ferocious attack, but he eventually overcomes Baidicheng's defences after a costly river siege. While Liu Bei falters, Zhang Ren sneaks through hidden mountainous paths, assisting his allies. Retreating with his archer unit from Baidicheng along the fortified cliff tops, he scouts the various entry points and notices Liu Bei's soldiers marching through the forests and valleys. He utilises his elite archer unit to unleash fire arrows down onto his enemy. Outmaneuvered and within difficult terrain, Huang Zhong turns to retreat, but suffers severe burns as he battles through the barricades. Barely escaping with his life, Liu Bei loses a key offensive commander, significantly slowing his campaign's progress. After making a long and arduous journey through the mountainous terrain, Liu Bei's soldiers reached Yong'an's gates, but started complaining. The weakened army without Pang Tong, Huang Zhong or Fa Zheng now faces heavily fortified positions at Yong'an and Jiangzhou. Liu Bei announces to his men that he will remember them for their contributions to restore the Han. Wei Yan steps forward as Liu Bei encourages them to lay siege to the city. Huo Jun takes a leading role in the siege of Yong'an, using his defensive expertise to maintain forward positions despite heavy losses. Meanwhile, Zhuge Liang predicts Yan Yan's river traps and floating barricades after his scouts report defensive fortifications and men moving in and out of the mountains. With reports of archers, ballistas and floating barricades, Zhuge Liang comes up with an alternate plan. Cut off Yong'an supplies from the south and take them for his own army, before launching a joint attack onto Jiangzhou. While Zhang Fei mounts a frontal assault against Yan Yan on the river, distracting Jiangzhou's main defences with the bulk of the navy, Zhuge Liang feigns a major landing downstream, using mostly empty ships. This draws out Leng Bao's unit from Jiangzhou. At the same time, Zhao Yun leads a separate force to circle around, engaging and killing Leng Bao in combat. Without Zhang Su's or Fa Zheng's intimate knowledge of the region though, Zhuge Liang lacks the information needed for strikes onto critical locations. Hindered by unfamiliarity of Yi's terrain, Zhao Yun relies on captured locals for intel on Jiangzhou's supply depots, limiting his effectiveness as he works to raid them, while officers like Huang Zhong benefit and outmaneuver him. With Zhang Fei's battered fleet locked in a stalemate on the river, the prolonged sieges eventually lead to Liu Bei's armies growing exhausted by late 212. When Liu Zhang's new administrator of Zitong arrives as reinforcements, it greatly boosts the defending army's morale. Leading the White River Army and dressed in splendour, Ma Chao came forward with great strength. Liu Bei was devastated when he heard of this and exclaimed, "Yi province is lost."